Hey everyone, this is Tamara. Welcome to Book Chat Live. Thanks for watching. Today I'm chatting with Nikki Jefford, the author of fantasy series Aurora Sky Vampire Hunter. Please follow along, comment if you're here and you want to say hi or have any questions for Nikki. We'll do our best to try to answer. Without further ado, hello Nikki, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. How are you?
Hi, Tamara. I'm great. It's great to be here.
Yay. How are things in your neck of the woods? Is it still summer where you are, or is it fall?
No, it's fall. I'm currently living very close to Canada. It's in Washington State in the northwest corner. So we're only like 20 minutes from the Canadian border. And it was a chilly summer and it's definitely fall now.
Oh man, I envy that so bad. I hate the heat, seriously. I'm so happy it's almost over.
Okay.
I know, but
Yeah.
I say that, but I complain when it's 12 inches of snow outside as well. So
Yeah, it's hard to find that happy medium. I like the seasons, but some of them I'd like to be longer than others.
yeah, what's
Which
your favorite season?
Oh, I like fall, but I really do like nicer temperate weather because I ride motorcycle and it's such a short window of time and it makes me sad to have to put it away in the garage and
Oh,
get
you ride
inside.
motorcycles? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I always wanted to. And, now that I'm old married lady, my husband's like, oh, you're not doing that. That's dangerous. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you.
That's funny. That's kind of one of the reasons I learned is because my husband rides and I thought it'd be something fun to do together. And I said, it's time I'm going to ride too. And then we can go have motorcycle adventures. And it's
Oh,
a fun thing to do together.
very cool. So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So I know that you read probably as much as I do, if not more. So please share with us what's on your nightstand right now. What are you reading?
Oh gosh. I'm reading Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas, and
Mhm.
I'm going to have a major book hangover when this is finished. So that series, and I like to read an audio or listen to an audiobook too. I'm trying to see if I can wake my phone up so I can do a visual.
You're just like me. I always have a book I'm reading and a book I'm listening to. Sometimes two and two. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, so I've been listening to the Harry Dresden Files on audiobook, and that's fun, especially since it's narrated by James Marsters, who played Spike on Buffy. I can listen to him narrating all day long.
Nice. I have not listened to that on audiobook, so I guess it's pretty good then, huh?
Yeah, I love listening to him
Very
narrate.
cool. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna add that to my list so I can check that out.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what books and or authors do you think may have kind of influenced your writing style as you've kind of evolved into the author you are today?
A lot of children's authors, because that's what I started with, and series. I didn't think I would be a series writer, but then I thought about all the books I loved growing up, like Nancy Drew, Babysitter's Club, there was the Saddle Club, and a lot of single titles too. I loved Pride and Prejudice from an early age, and just characters like Mr. Darcy, where at first things aren't going well and then they fall for each other. I love that kind of stuff where there's just tension and friction, but ultimately they fall for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anna Green Gables was a favorite growing up.
Oh, I
And
love that. I still have those books, by the way.
that's when I've got them in a box somewhere in Alaska. I still need to get my books shipped down sometime. But I always love, if anyone's read Anna Green Gables, that gets me excited because that was a very special series to me growing up.
Oh, that's very cool. It's my favorite. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorites. I distinctly, actually, real quick. My sister borrowed the fourth book from me, and she lost it. I've held that over her head forever.
She owes you a copy.
Look, I broke down and searched and found the exact same edition on eBay and bought it so I could recomplete my set. But she had, I had to give her an earful when I found it.
Oh my gosh, that's good you found it because they do change the covers of things, and I'm the same way where I like it all to match.
Hmm.
So that's great that you found that.
Yeah, it's a book nerd problem. We can relate.
Thank goodness for sites like eBay.
Yes, exactly. So among those authors and books you mentioned, are any of those your favorite, or do you have like a different group of authors that you would think are your favorite as a reader?
It depends on the just what I'm reading or the current time period, I guess. Like right now, I love Sarah J. Maas because that's what I'm reading now. Like she feels like one of my favorites. I also read a book, and I wish I could remember that author's name. It's hard to pronounce, but it's An Ember in the Dark or something like that. And book 2 just came out, and that was so amazing that I feel like I love her books right now. And George R.R. Martin, just that was like nothing I'd ever read before. So I'm a big fan of his right now. And it's really hard to pick one. I mean, I don't have one where I'm just like, oh my gosh, they are the one. They're my favorite. There's just so many talented authors out there.
That's so true. It's like asking someone to pick their favorite sibling or favorite child. It's hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you know what? I was checking out your series, and I see that it's been getting great reviews and ratings. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Are you really happy with how your readers have taken with the series?
Yeah, I am. And especially not just with the reviews, which I mean, I never expected to have such a response I get, or that much response even. I just didn't even think, I thought, maybe a few people will read this. And then over the years, it builds up. But just what really means a lot to me is hearing from readers who maybe they have people in their family, they've lost people in their family, or they're going through an illness, and they say this series has taken their mind off them and given them that short escape. Or I have a lot of nurses who say this is what they read just to relax, because when you're doing hard work like that or having a lot of serious stuff going on, you don't want to spend your time reading serious stuff. You want an escape. And I guess that was something very unexpected that I didn't know that it would provide that kind of a relief for people. I just thought, okay, fun entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding to me to hear that.
Yeah. Very cool. I think that's a good thing. I mean, I personally read for fun, as a lot of us book addicts do, because just to escape, it's escapism. And that's one of the reasons why I love fantasy so much. So it's great that you write fantasy. So you probably know I love cover art. So let's talk a little bit about your cover art.
Okay.
How was
that? For the Aurora Sky series, I've got some visuals too. This is book 1 and book 2. So there's 6 books. And so it starts here and then ends here. And these were done by Claudia at Fat Puppy Art. And she, anyone who's familiar with her work, she does amazing covers. They are just phenomenal. These were fun. We did a casting call and got models and did a photo shoot. And the photographer, Teresa Ye, who did it, was just amazing to work with. I kind of gave her an idea of what outfits they'd be wearing. And she just put it together better than I ever could, and got a hairstylist and did the poses. She even got the weapons, guns, knives and stuff. And they did that, and it was a really fun process for me because I was sent all these photos. It's kind of hard, but I got to pick then from the photos, and that's a little stressful. It's like, okay, is this the right pose? Is this, the right expression? Or sometimes I'd like one pose better, but an expression better. It's like, I wish I could put it all together. And the gal who portrays Aurora, her name's Gabriella, and she just was so perfect, like for the part. She just captured her perfectly, which was great.
Oh, that's awesome. So a little later, I'll ask you more about Aurora, because I am curious about her character. But I've heard that your series has a different take on the vampire genre. And I've also heard that it's been compared to Night Hunter series. So give me a little bit idea of what the plot is, and how is it different, or how is it like the Night Hunter series? I know you know what that is, right? By Janine Frost.
Yes, I read that. I'm gonna have a hard time comparing because I read so many books that they all mix together.
Yeah.
The series, takes a sci-fi approach more to vampirism. Only people with AB negative or positive blood, which is the rarest blood type in the world, can become a vampire. So you can't just turn a vampire. And then there's a vampire hunting agency that recruits would-be vampires to fight vampires. And there's some shady stuff going on there, of course, like there always seems to be with these kind of like government agencies. So she's fighting, she's pulled in kind of against her will, but she is forced to work for them. And it's, I don't want to say too much there and give anything away, but that's the big theme is just with that. And then also that her blood is poisonous to vampires. So if they bite her, then they're going to go into shock. So that's also why the government, that's why they want people like her, because they have that advantage over them. Right.
So she's the perfect killing machine, basically.
Kind of, yeah. She's like definitely better than just getting your any Joe Schmo off the street.
Okay.
And a comparison I really like is I've had reviewers say that it reminds them of a mix of Buffy and Alias, and that's a really good comparison because like Buffy, she's on missions. She's trying to juggle school and dating and secret missions and fighting vampires. And also she's going undercover like Alias and just kind of going in disguise and going as other people and different names. So that was like kind of the perfect way, I think, to compare it to a combination of those.
So you mentioned school. So that made me think about the age range for this book, the series. I originally was going to say it's young adult, but now that I understand it kind of teeters a little bit, do you want to kind of tell us a little bit more about how, the age range changes and things like that?
Book 1, she's a senior in high school, so she's already pretty mature. And book 2, she's still in high school, kind of getting out. After that, she's in college, and then she's even beyond college. So like Buffy again, where she starts out in high school, and then she goes on to college, and then real life intervenes, and she has to leave school and deal with life stuff along with the vampire killing stuff. So it's hard to say the genre. I've seen reviewers and reviews argue about it. I've had ones who insist it's YA, and they just will like say that 10 times in the same review. So I guess they're really passionate about the genre. And then I've had other ones say this is NA. And again, they're even just as adamant about it. I'm like, I guess I don't know how people decide this. Since she's in high school, at first I thought it was YA, but it's definitely more mature, and there's sexual content, and there's language, and there's violence, and then it moves on from there. So it's very hard to say. I just kind of tell people it starts out YA, then it goes into NA, and then I guess you could even say it goes into adult. But I've had people say that NA is the most appropriate for the series.
Well, I love that, because that means there is progression the whole time with the characters. They're not stuck in the 12th grade for 6 books.
Right.
So it's good.
That's a good way to say. I like that word, progression, because that's kind of with a series, especially, they're growing, that they're not stuck in the same grade for 6 books.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, since this is kind of YA to NA and adults, let's talk a little bit about the heat level here. Obviously, there's romance involved. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being near erotica and 1 being a kiss on the cheek, where do you think your books lie?
Oh gosh, okay, that I guess would be maybe like a 7 then, or
I know it's all perception as well. Some people think a kiss on the cheek is, oh my gosh, and others is like, oh really? Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, and other people are like, whoa, this is like making me uncomfortable, and other people are like, no, I want more. So maybe it's more middle of the ground, I'd say. And yeah, it's definitely not near erotica, but there's also scenes that take things far and are described very colorfully.
So did you struggle with how far to go or how far not to go in the books?
Not really. I guess it was the challenge would be that I don't have kids and I don't have nieces or nephews. So it's hard for me to know what's appropriate or what parents think are appropriate. Plus, it's very different from when I grew up. When I grew up reading historical romances, and I mean, they had everything in them. And I was reading that as a young teenager. So to me, that was just very normal to read that kind of stuff. But I've noticed people seem very sensitive in this day and age. Like, I've gotten emails, not as much anymore, but I used to get emails that people were just seem very sensitive.
That's too bad. Because I mean, look, I used to read V.C. Andrews in the 6th grade. Now you know I shouldn't have been reading that, but I turned out just fine. It's all good.
A friend of mine, she's an author too, Stacey Marie Brown, and I were talking about it because we read that stuff too. And we're like, that stuff was really dark and twisted, and so.
Oh yeah. Thinking back as an adult, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have been reading that, but whatever.
That's what we were saying too. I don't know how that ended up in our hands, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Aurora's love interest. So who exactly is the love interest here? Is it a triangle situation or just forbidden love?
It's kind of forbidden, and there is a definite character who is the love interest, who she's very clear about who she wants, and it kind of, there's a little bit of a triangle. I didn't think it was a triangle, but enough people said it was, and I'm like, okay, I'll listen if you guys say it is. Sure. But for me, it wasn't really ever a triangle, just because when the character knows what she wants, it feels just more like, okay, there was never a decision like, oh, I can't decide. Is more just at times that doesn't work, like you said, with the forbidden thing. But she has a vampire character who she just has got an attraction and bond to, but she also has a partner, like a work partner, mentor type thing, person that she does missions with, and he's more of a goofy, kind of fun, like bull character. And so there are readers who like that character, and they really want to turn him. But then there's just as many for the other guy. It's always interesting to see what people like and want.
People always root for the underdog, so they want the guy out the friend zone. They always root for him. Now, I'm the opposite. I want the bad boy. Give me the guy that you probably shouldn't be with.
Yeah, I like the fictional bad boys, and those ones are always just, the chemistry is always good there, and it's just fun. The dialogue, the just like back and forth between. I really like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, being that you mentioned chemistry, is this more like an insta-lust situation or insta-love situation?
This one is more, they don't really even like each other at first. I always like that kind of stuff, like I was mentioning earlier with the Mr. Darcy and Pride and Prejudice. I think it's more interesting when the characters actually aren't instantly in love or lust, where they kind of don't even, they just have problems with each other, but then things keep happening to kind of force them together, and then it just feels so much more powerful than when they are like, oh, okay, I can't help myself.
I totally agree with you, because you can tell the tension and things like that when they don't necessarily, it's like they kind of think there's possibly something, but they hate each other. So it's like, I love that. So tell me a little bit about like the technical stuff in the book. How is the story told? First person, third person, alternating?
This is first person, and it's all from the first person. In book 5, the character Fane, I gave him a little bit of a point of view. I think I only gave him 4 chapters because there was just so much behind the scenes stuff happening that readers really needed to hear about that. And so he got to come in, and that's the only time. And then there's also some novellas. There's another vampire hunter named Noelle Harper, and she got her own novella, which is, I think that one was like 55,000 words. I had some readers say they actually loved reading from her point of view even more than Aurora. And so that's a very long novella for her to have her own point of view. Character Dante, he has a shorter story that's all him. And then there's a character named Valerie, who she's got a novella too, and those ones are shorter. But for the main books, it's just Aurora.
Do you anticipate doing a spinoff with any of those other characters that people enjoyed?
I don't. I think the novellas that are already there, they add so much to this series. I don't feel like there's anything left to bring in. Like, I don't want to just like keep pushing it. I just feel like it ended. There could possibly be one mission left, because I've heard about a vampire anthology that's coming out next year, and I said I was interested, and if I get contacted, then I'll give them one last mission.
One last hurrah, huh?
Yeah, one last hurrah, exactly.
Awesome. So this setting is Alaska. So did you choose Alaska because you lived in Alaska?
I did. I was born and raised there, and people, when they heard I loved to write fiction, were always telling me I should write a story based there. And I was always like, why would I want to do that? I already live here. Why would that be interesting to me? It wasn't until I moved, it's been about 8 years now, that I just appreciated it more. Just the beauty there, the wildness is kind of, just a different atmosphere, and it seemed perfect for vampires. I mean, they don't like light, they don't like heat, and in the wintertime it's so dark. I mean, in Anchorage, where I'm from, we'd get maybe a little over we'd get like 4 hours of daylight in the wintertime. Yeah, so
dark.
I know. So it seems like a good place for them.
Yeah.
And just there's that kind of dark, creepy, paranormal factor, and just having like snowy landscapes and stuff. There's just so much to play with.
Wow, that's kind of cool, actually. I've never been to Alaska, but it's on my bucket list. I think I'll do cruise style.
Yeah, summertime's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places. I've traveled a bit. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's just the natural beauty is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. So do the characters ever leave Alaska, or is the entire series in Alaska?
It's all in Alaska. Aurora does leave for a boot camp in one, but it's very brief. Like, she's basically ending that and coming back. So it is all pretty much like solidly in Alaska. And then there's missions in different cities of Alaska. So they also travel around. It's not just in Anchorage, but go just kind of getting around the state a bit too.
That's cool. So let's talk a little bit more about Aurora. Like, from what I've read, she seems like a very witty and sarcastic character, and I tend to like those kind of characters. I like strong heroines. Do you think that Aurora fits that bill, or do you think she's kind of like only becomes strong over time? Tell us a little bit about her as a character.
Yeah, she seemed really sarcastic right away, and that she definitely seems like she's gotten stronger. She seemed pretty strong, though. Like, she will do whatever needs to be done, what it takes. Because in her first initiation scene, which was really stressful to write, I got really sweaty because she's just stuck in this room and has to kill a vampire. And she got it done. So she was able to draw up that strength, even though she was so new to it. And this isn't one of the kind of stuff that she was interested in, being a assassin. But she has, I've noticed, as the books progress, which makes sense, especially after getting some better training at boot camp and all that, that she's just faster, quicker, and not as having that kind of, oh, I want to throw up feeling, just more like it's becoming more routine of a job that you get done and you just do it without having to feel like, yeah, you're going to hurl.
So she didn't naturally take to killing vampires then. It was a progression.
No. Yeah.
I guess that's good. I don't know if it's a good thing to be instantly happy to be killing vampires. That might not be the best.
Yeah. Especially they don't just go off into dust. So yeah, you have to deal with they're
messy deaths.
Yes.
Oh, no dust in your books. Okay, got it.
That'd be a lot easier. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it would be neater for sure. I gotta say that. So tell me a little bit about, what do you like most about the characters you developed for this story, whether they're major or minor? What did you like about them?
I like having the different personalities. It's fun to have the different, like having someone who's comic relief. I think of Dante as comic relief. He's kind of funny. And I like having a bitchy character like Valerie, who just cusses and is just a nasty, but it's just fun. And Noelle, she's kind of sassier, but also quiet, and putting them all together and making them work together. I also like Fane has a roommate who's British. He's a vampire who's just really moody, gloomy, Eeyore. And you've got all these characters together, and they each have such a different personality that it's fun when they're having to work together, that it just doesn't feel like, carbon copies, that there's just a lot of character and personality flying around, and lines they say, they're like, oh, that's just so them.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's what would be fun about the characters, about writing them, is getting to go into all those different kind of psychologies and
That's very
see
cool.
what they say.
Yeah. So, about that, going into psychologies and things. So did you have any challenges when it came to researching or writing or even, getting into the world when developing this series or the first book even?
I'd say the biggest challenge when I started the series was the world and what I was going to do with it, because I always want to do something different, and so much has been done. And I had just finished binge watching Buffy. I watched it very late in life. I didn't really grow up on TV, so and I loved it. And then it ended, and I mean, it had ended forever ago for everyone else, but for me, it had just ended. That was maybe like 6 years ago, and I wanted more. But if I was going to write something, I want it to be different. So I read a lot of books on vampirism and nonfiction books about just how the legends and mythology and all that started, and trying to find that just different angle. That took, I can't remember how many months. It took a long time. And one of the best, most inspirational books I read was a National Geographic book on vampirism. And it had some dense information that was kind of harder to get through, but it was kept coming back and talking about disease and how myths in Europe would start when people were sick. And so that gave me the idea of people that disease triggering it. Because if anyone with AB negative or positive blood become a vampire, then they would just automatically become a vampire, and there would be nothing novel about. I mean, it'd be novel, but there would be nothing to trigger it. Right. So that developing that just twist and idea behind it, that was the biggest challenge. Characters, I love doing characters, but the world building, the coming up with the different angles, that is the most challenging and time consuming for me when I'm doing a series.
So was that the definitive thing that made you decide to kind of go the science route instead of the religious route with the vampirism? The National Geographic thing you were reading?
Yeah, that was a big inspiration. And it just seemed like this is something that over and over through the years was always cropping up and getting the rumors started about it. And that would be neat to have something to do with sickness and disease, and having it trigger it, and taking that and using it for something, for a backdrop, for a kind of fantasy / sci-fi take.
Well, I'm definitely interested. I've added it to my TBR list.
Yay!
Yes, I will be reading it. I mean, I really love fantasy. It's really it is my absolute favorite, urban fantasy and fantasy. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. So is there anything else you would like to let the viewers or readers know about this series before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, currently this could change. The first book is free in ebook, and so if you're interested, I'd download it now. And also, it's a complete series, and it's also an audiobook, and the final book just released this week in audiobook, so you can read your way through or listen your way through.
Who did the audiobook for you? What studio?
I actually took care of, I had it produced myself. And I mean, I hired a narrator, M. Eldridge, who's wonderful. And we did it through the ACX Audible channel. And they then put it up on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes.
Awesome. That's so creative to do your own audiobook and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds funny to say that, because I'm not recording it. I would never do that. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't be good at doing that. She is someone who actually is an Audible accredited narrator, and she puts, voice performance. She does, she can do British accents, Italian accents, and I'm just wowed at the amount of performance that actually goes in. It's not just a person reading into the microphone. They're actually putting emphasis and kind of laughing even, and putting the sarcasm in there, and it's really fun.
They're acting essentially. Yeah,
it's really fun.
Awesome.
I mean, it's a different experience, definitely, to hear the characters' voices kind of come to life.
Wow, that's very cool. I don't think I've ever talked to an author that's actually kind of essentially put their own audiobook together essentially. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
cool.
fun. Yeah, you put a casting call, kind of like also with the models, like same with the narrators. You put a casting call and you listen and decide who sounds most like that character, and then listen as they submit the chapters and talk about, okay, maybe this like town wasn't said correctly, and they fix it, or if there's any mistakes, fix it, and then submit it. And it goes through the Audible QA process, which takes about 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and they say, okay, it's all good, and post it.
You're there. Awesome.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about what you're working on now. Anything new coming?
Yes, I am working on a fairy tale fantasy, and I wrote it, and now I'm working on just big edits. I'm editing it. I have an agent for that who is going to sell it, and she pitched it to someone, and I've got some, I've got, I'm just doing like some rewrites that I want to do to just get it flowing better and more like page turning. I really like things that are just page turning books that you just
Hmm.
can't like put down. So getting
Hmm.
it, honing it in to get it as much as possible to be the happiest possible with it. And so that's what I'm working on
Awesome. I
currently.
always love a tight plot. I love it when it's just like no page wasted, you know?
Yes. Yes, that's the
So,
best. That's what
yes, it is.
that's what we're always all striving for, is just, yes, to keep it
Awesome.
exciting.
Well, you know what? There are always writers in the audience and, looking for advice or point of view. So do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
Yeah, I would say it's really the basics you hear, which is just to make sure to spend time writing, typing, and reading. If you're struggling with something, that happens to me a lot, I will just take time out and start reading actually. And it's really helpful to see what other authors do and how they approach storytelling. And a lot of times I'll go, oh, I never thought about doing that. And I'm not doing the same thing, but it triggers an idea of what's possible.
Mhm.
Um, and reading different genres. We all have our favorite genres, but I've found that reading a mix of things, memoir, biography, historical, those will give me ideas for my own writing. History can be really a great way to come up with ideas, even for your fantasy, about just things that have happened in the past, but giving it a kind of a historical, um, taking something historical and giving it its own fantasy thing.
Mhm.
And what else? And then just making sure to write, and you can get into kind of funks and things where it's just not flowing,
Right.
and just whatever you can get out, if you can get out something every day or at least 5 times a week, then that'll just keep you learning and in the habit, I guess, is getting that good habit.
Mhm. That's good advice. Do it every day. They say what, doing something 28 days in a row or something like that creates a habit. So I think that's the number I heard. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. All right. So let's jump into my favorite thing, the lightning round.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll just reiterate the rules so that the people who are watching later, if they don't know, it's 60 seconds, 60 questions. Some are book related, some are not. The only rule I have is that you cannot say neither or both for an A or B question. You got to pick one. You have to pick one. But other than that, that's it. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I've got my timer here so we won't go over. All
Okay.
right, let's go. Hero or villain?
Hero.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Name a book that you've read in one sitting. You want to pass?
I can't remember the exact title. I think it was it was something about organizing your home, like the joy of something.
Interesting.
Okay,
Okay.
let's go to the
Physical
next.
books or ebooks?
Physical.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Vampires or werewolves?
Vampires.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Where's your favorite place to read?
On the out back if the sun's shining.
Nice. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Oh, so important. Android or Apple?
Android?
Yes. Name your favorite food. That was
Pizza.
that was pizza. Oh, mine too. Oh my God, I had that last night with red wine. It's the best.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, that was so fun. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think you got. I think you got like 15 questions answered.
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share or mention, upcoming events or anything like that before we sign off for the day?
Oh, I'm going to be at PennCon in St. Louis in just a few days. That's this coming Thursday. I don't know if anyone's in the St. Louis area, come on out. And then I'll be at Emerald City Comic-Con 2017 at the beginning of March. And for people who like free ebooks, I'll mention real quick that I have another free ebook currently entangled in the Spellbound trilogy. I just got the covers changed. And
yeah, I remember it was like a white cover with blue, right, on it?
Yeah, oh my gosh, you're like have a good well, you said you like covers, but I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're looking for your fall reads and want to have a risk-free taste, take a look.
Awesome. Okay, you guys, please do follow Nikki everywhere. All her links are below. Find her on Twitter, Facebook, check out her website. And like she mentioned, feel free to download her available ebooks that are for free right now. So the links are below for that as well. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, happy reading. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Tamara.
You're welcome.